All right, we got our recording going, y'all. So I might have to turn this up a little bit more because it's going through Streamlab. I decided not to go live, so it'd be a little easier for me to showcase stuff. So there's another thing that I've been doing. I did a digital journal. A little thirsty, so I decided to work on my other channel a little bit tonight with my homie Solomon, maybe, because I ain't been on it. This has been much more successful. Anyway, I found an old picture. Old myself. And this was probably one of the more pivotal parts of my life. I'm gonna put this picture up. This was a more pivotal part of my life. You could see I did not look very happy that day. This was in 10th grade. Now, when we used to go to South High, all right, I don't know if this will show, but this might keep it up. If you want to look up the history on South High, there was some civil unrest going on at South High. It's Minneapolis' oldest and largest public high school. So if I go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and present. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And I'm going to put this on the stage. Now, South High, my mom went to South High. This was the old South High building, just so you guys can see it. That was the old South High building right there. I'll make it a little bigger. Well, it ain't making it no bigger. Okay. That didn't work. Yeah, that was the old South High building. This is South High in 1911. Okay. That was South High in 1911. Now, this is South High when I start going to school. As you can see, it looks literally like a prison. So when you first walk in, that's kind of how it looks. But the reason why they designed it like this, and a lot of people don't know this, I was talking to my homie the other day. Earlier, I was texting him and get shown some stuff. And right here it says, the open house for the new South High building, I'll get to this in a second, was held October 11th, 1970. At that time, and I'm reading this through Wikipedia here, at that time, the nation was experiencing great turmoil due to the prolonged Vietnam War and the government's cover-up of vital information about it. Construction of the New South began in 1968, the year when public opinion of the war took a big turn for the worse. Now, a few months before the gala open house for the new building, the Kent State shootings occurred, and National Guardmen killed 4 students during a protest against the war and government policy, sparking a new nationwide round of student protests. So they're saying that the building could have been developed, designed to stop student unrest. There's no windows. It says structures from this period tend to lack windows, which could be quickly destroyed during violent protests, a common occurrence, making them at best expensive to replace and at worst a public safety hazard. You cannot do anything. If there was a tornado or anything going down and they said, hey, we need to get people safe, actually South High is probably literally like a compound. So it goes in there. So my point taken is, when my pops was still in the house, basically the rule was you can't get suspended from school at all. Now I'll go back to my 7th, 8th grade years at another date. But basically, you can't get suspended at all. So I did get suspended 1 year on seventh grade, defending myself, and 8th grade year I got suspended defending myself. So, but the rule was, if you get suspended from school, I'm gonna beat your ass physically. I'm gonna hurt you, because in his mind, education was the only thing. He probably only had like a 6th, 7th, 8th grade education. I don't even think he graduated high school. He went to the Korean War and stuff. So in his ideal, he thought that, well, education was the only thing you got. He was old school. So if you get bullied or pushed around, you pretty much got accepted. So I had to kind of go through 9th grade just accepting the abuse. I knew that I could fight, but I had to pretty much just go through there and just kind of accept the abuse. So it got to a point where it was almost, so now he's saying, well, have your mom go up to the school. And I'm just thinking to myself, that's not going to work. You have to stand up for yourself and you have to fight back. This is not going to work. So eventually, as I told y'all before, my mom and dad, they, things didn't work out. I think after a while, maybe my mom kind of seen that things just weren't going, they weren't working. She probably didn't think, maybe like she didn't figure life was going to get no better. And then, they had issues, right? So she kind of called it quits after a while. Oh man, music to my ears. So when you look at this picture, it's not showing it for me. I'm trying to figure out how I move this, take this off stage. Okay, I got to take that off stage. So it's showing for y'all, but it ain't showing for me. I don't know what happened. It's kind of weird. Anyway. So when you look at this picture, you could kind of see like the look on my face. I really wasn't playing around no more. It was a pivotal point, because now that he's out the house, now I could kick ass. And that's exactly what I started to do. You see, that was a kind of around where I started kind of coming into, Derek Pearson became the quote unquote DP. That was my identity. I said, okay, I'm going to start beating folks' ass that's playing with me. And that's exactly what I started to do. So whenever I had an issue that would include a fade, I'm not turning anything down. That was kind of my mentality at that time. And people start to see that. So in school, when I start to kind of have issues with people or whatever like that, I'd be like, let's go outside. Let's go outside the classroom. And I used to just do that. I used to just call folks out. So I didn't have the bullying problem no more in 10th grade. There was something that happened in 9th grade where, because we were on 9th grade team. So there was this one dude, basically, like I said, he was basically telling me, you got to pretty much accept the abuse. So there was a guy where, the teacher was asking me, oh, are you being bullied or this, that, and the third or whatever like that? And I'm telling the teacher, I'm trying to tell the teacher no, but he knew it was going on. And I pretty much told the teacher, man, my dad is on this bullshit. He's basically saying, I just got to accept it because there's really nothing that y'all can do. You see what I'm saying? So this is actually making things hard for me at school because he's not letting me fight back. You see what I'm saying? Now, far as being in the neighborhood, you can't come home crying home to somebody that bullied you, which I didn't really understand. He said in the neighborhood, if somebody is messing with you, you could beat them up. But at school, you can't. But that's where most of the bullying is going to come from. People in your neighborhood, they're not going to really bully you that much because you're able to fight back. So that doesn't make sense. So there was a big swole dude in my class. He kind of seen what was going on. And he basically said, look, man, if this stuff keeps happening to you, man, you're going to have to do something. So I had made it up in my mind at that point. But by that time, the year was almost over. But he basically told me, and that's why I say South High looked and behaved almost like a damn prison, because he's telling me, look, Just like in a real prison situation. Nobody's gonna really come to your rescue or defense unless you stand up for yourself. And he says, I'll ride for you if you ride for yourself. So at that point, I just said what the hell my dad was talking about. I'm just gonna, the next time this happens, then I'm just gonna have to get suspended. So, but by that time, there was no more issues. It was almost, the school year was pretty much up. So I had a hellish ninth grade when it comes to that. And I think I was upset with him a very long time because you put me in a bad position. You started me off in a bad position going to this school. You got a whole bunch of gangbanging ass niggas going here and all this kind of stuff. And I'm in a situation where, I need to be safe because it doesn't get better. The teachers can't do anything about it. You see what I'm saying? So 10th grade, as you can see in that picture, I was not playing. I didn't have any issues, none. Because the attitude that I kind of took from then on, now I didn't really have too many people bother me anymore. I was able to kind of get my studies a little bit, but I was kind of skipping class and kind of doing stuff. But I was wary coming into 10th grade because I'm dealing with these same people and I'm seeing them. And I said, okay, if I see this guy, if I see these people again, then I'm just going to get suspended. But by that time, now my mom, which was crazy about it is, my mom was all for it. If her attitude was, if somebody played with you, give them hands, which it really didn't make no sense. But she looked at it like, okay, your education is important, but I know my son's not bothering nobody. So if somebody's messing with him, he has a right to defend himself. So she didn't have no issue with it. She didn't really believe in turning the other cheek. But with him being the man of the house, and that set a very, very bad example. But with him being the man of the house, his attitude was this, because he's old school. If something happens in that school, like there's a school, I'm not going to use the word, ooting, where, people do a school ooting, where they lay out the school. If you're a good student, they would be willing to lay their life down on the line for you as a student. If you a bad, janky little student, they're not willing to do that. So that's what he was trying to tell me, that, well, these folks would much rather keep you safe. Yeah, but if there's a school ooting, everybody getting hit. The ooter is not worried about whether you were in good grades or whatnot. Most of the time, the school ooter they'll just start getting everybody. And they might start attacking the black kids first. But, but as you can see, I was, in my mind, and you could look and see it in my face that, yeah, I'm ready. And when I took the picture, because it's a picture that they take in school, and I really didn't want to get my picture taken and stuff. So I was already kind of upset about that. And on top, I was kind of looking like, I don't know if it was like a chip. It might have been like a chip or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? So I wasn't really worried about getting suspended or nothing like that. So I said, now I went through that whole 10th grade for the most part. I skipped a lot of school. I ended up in partnership class in 11th grade. Now, here's the people that I was in partnership class. I was with, and he probably don't mind. I don't know if he'll see it, but it was Serge. It was Tall Lanky Marvin. And I started working at Cub probably, it might have been, I think, it must have been 11th grade. It must have been 11th grade, because I don't think I was working at Cub in 12th grade. I was a WOC, and y'all seen the WOC story. So I had probably built the computer in 11th grade. I might have had the job at Cub in the 10th, but I think it was the 11th grade. Now, my dad was gone. He wasn't really coming around too much no more. You see what I'm saying? He kind of, he went out and lived in St. Paul. Eventually, he lived in Colorado. So now, so think about this now. So now, I'm starting to hang out with my friends, and I'm starting to eventually start to get into being around a different kind of crowd. Okay, so all of us, we all live in the same area. And I was just talking to my homie Jay, and he's like, man, just tell it how it is. I start hanging around a whole bunch of, put it like this. I start hanging around and kind of associate myself with a crowd of people that might get you into some stuff. Now, it wasn't that they was looking for, it's just that the affiliations and the things that was involved at certain times might have been, okay, for example, you got some homies that's into this, or they in this organization, right? If you go downtown and they see somebody or something happens where there's some disrespect or whatever like that, you're lumped in. It doesn't matter if you're claiming or whatever. If you're with them, so people will identify you with that. So, like, for example, we was downtown one time. I'll never forget this. We at the city center, and he could tell you. Now, I didn't know what these were, because I just thought it was just the left and right. So I was with some of my homies, and they see some BDs, and I didn't know what the hell that was, and they were like, but they didn't like them, and I could tell they didn't like them. So they were kind of talking about how they did not like them, and I was kind of thinking like, well, is this going to be a scuffle? Now, they were kind of off somewhere, doing some shopping or whatever. But around that time, those guys were known to have a bunch of money. They weren't hating on them. They just didn't like them because I guess it's two different organizations just don't get along, whatever the case may be. So, sometimes it could be stuff like that. Now, I didn't experience it really where I got to see where people were, I wasn't around. I didn't have any friends that was just running around throwing signs up and doing all that kind of stuff. They was trying to get some money. But at the same time, if you go to the club or if you go to any kind of little thing and something happens, well, we seen you with so-and-so, so we just think that's what you is. So by default, you're the ops. That's how it works. They don't care that you're a computer nerd fixing computers or whatever the case may be. They don't care. You see what I'm saying? So I was, especially after high school, when I started really doing hustling, selling mixtapes and all that kind of stuff, and eventually doing computer repair. You got to think, I come up seeing around a lot of D-boys. So my philosophy on $1 was different than just working a regular 9-to-5 at the time, or like a dead-end position. I'm seeing some of my friends come through with thousands of dollars and blades and nice rides and stuff like that. So I'm wanting this stuff. I just don't want to indulge in the activity to that degree. Here's the issue. You're not really going to be around those guys too long until you're going to start feeling like you want to dibble and dabble, because number one, you're in the vicinity and in the environment that could be risky. Number two, you get tired of being broke, right? So I just didn't have the desire, because I've, like as I told y'all in my first book, I'm seeing boxes. Okay, I'm seeing boxes. Handful of this, handful of that, handful of this, handful. I'm seeing this stuff, and so I'm sitting there like, damn, man, I want a damn Chevy Caprice on blades too. Wendy's is not gonna do that. It's gonna take too damn long. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, what do you get for that? I was asking those kind of questions, and a lot of times niggas don't like discussing that, because they're like, well, man, you jinxing me. But I'm looking at it like, okay, how much time do you get for that? How much time do you get for this? You see what I'm saying? And so I'm adding it all up like, after you get done with a lawyer and stuff like that, you probably still got to get a job after parole. So that's how I'm looking at it. So I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a different way how to get me some bread. And that's how I start messing with a lot of the mixtapes and stuff like that. And, eventually I got heavy into the computer repair. I start buying and selling stuff and doing stuff like that. Because in my mind, as a teenager, I'm like, I got to catch up to them. You see what I'm saying? The D-boy was getting all the women. The D-boy was getting all the play. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't that I felt insignificant. It's just that those are the allures of being a young black man in the state of in Minneapolis, growing up over South and seeing this and witnessing these things and wanting these things, because that's just what it was. So another thing too, as you're kind of around some of these guys and some of your homies and stuff, and then they're starting to acquire things, or you start seeing them when you out and about, sometimes the attention you get, it's like an it factor thing. You see what I'm saying? It's like you're seeing them, if you're seeing them, how they're dealing with, like I remember my homie Simba Ali had posted some clip about the communication of hollering. You start sharpening your game up. The way they dress, you might be wearing the Izod at first. You may not have no polo right yet. You gonna have to go to Marshall's and you gonna have to get chaps. You gonna have to get chaps. So those are the things that you might do. You might have to get chaps. So when I started going at Cub, I worked at Cub, because remember, I don't know, it could have been 10th, it could have been 11th grade. I think it could have been 10th. It's 10th or 11th grade. That's why I named this 99 or 2000. 01, I was out of there. So it might have been 98, but it was probably 99 2000 or 99 2000 school year, or it might have been 98 2000 school year. I'd have to ask guys, G. I don't know. I can't remember. All I know is I was working at Cub and I saved up. I started building my computer, because remember, I was in that class. I was in that class with that teacher, Mr. Ruff. And Mr. Ruff was like, you need to get a job. You see what I'm saying? Now, remember, at that time, I didn't have no money, because I didn't have any hustle. But when I got my computer and stuff, I was able to write people's papers. You see what I'm saying? I was able to do whatever I needed to do. And then I think we ended up with DSL internet. You know what I'm saying? We had DSL internet through, at that time, they called it Quest. They called it Quest around that time. So I had DSL internet, and my homies used to come by, and we download on Napster and eventually LimeWire and all that stuff. And I'm making these mixtapes, and then so people are asking the school, I need a mixtape. So I started making the mixtapes, and then I make custom mixtape. A custom mixtape, I think I charged like $5 or $10 or something like that, and people would pay it. You see what I'm saying? And so, I remember bringing it back to Cub. And there's another story I was going to tell, but I could probably throw that in this one. Around 11th grade, remember, I was writing. I think 10th grade, I started writing a little bit. 11th grade, I was getting even better, but I didn't really never let nobody hear nothing. Not that much, except one white girl in class. She was in my science class. I think Jeff Ponto's class. I think her name was Tiffany. She's like, oh, it sounds pretty good. So I'm writing. Around this time, I think some of my homies was at Angel Beach recording. They were making their album. So you know what? My homie had an album called History in the Making. He released that in like 99 or 2000. All right. So he released that in like 99 or 2000, right? So what I did is, when I was working at Cub, I think in partnership class, there was Marvin in the class, and it was Serge. They used to hang out. That was the same class where, remember, the white dude had said something slick, and Serge had checked him. That's what happened with that. Okay, I don't know. This thing, I guess it's gonna have to stay in here. Yeah, it's cat. This cat keep coming in here, man. Get down. All right, well, there's not much I could do. I have to edit this out. Shoot. All right, hold on. Yeah, I guess just let her stay, because I'm gonna have to edit this out. There you go. All right. Damn cat, man. All right, so look, Serge and Marvin was in this class. Serge checked the white dude when he made that comment about the Africans, right? I was working at Cub. He worked there. Marvin, a lot of us worked there after school. That's how I bought. There might have been like $20 that I went to go get the case. That's the first thing I bought. I bought the shell. I went to Nano Systems. I bought the computer case. It might have sat around for a couple months, but I bought that so I could keep looking at it. I might have been working a Cub that time. I don't know how I got some money. It was like maybe $40 or something like that. It was an ATX case. So ATX, but that means the style, what they call a chassis. So when you think of suspension, well, I bought a car with 22-inch wheels. What was the chassis? Well, it was ATX. It was that standard. So when you buy ATX case, you buy ATX motherboard, and then you put that inside the case, drill it in or screw it in. Then you put in the processor, the RAM, you put in the hard drive, you put in the power supply, you connect the CD burner and all that. That's it. Cut it on. Install Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows XP at that time, Windows 98. Okay. So I'm at Cub. Remember, this is an 11th grade. I'm not sure if bro had the blue Bronco around that time. He gonna listen to this and be like, he broke his leg. Bro broke, my homie, he had gotten into a car accident. He broke his leg and he cracked his femur. He was like, they had to put a rod in this shit. And he went and he bought a Bronco. And he was hustling too. I won't say who, but he was hustling too. And he had some 12s. So he ride around listening to guerrilla warfare. I would have never sold that Bronco. I don't know why he sold it. I don't know why, but I would never sold that. That thing probably worth 30 bands right now, because used cars are worth a lot more money right now. That's why I'll never sell my 79. Hell no. Used cars are worth bread right now. Them tariffs is cracking in. So I'm working at Cub. I'm not sure if he had a Bronco by that time, but he might have already, let me see, 99, 2001. He maybe might have had that around that time, 97, 98, 99. So, but I know Guerrilla Warfare came out in 99, so I know he had it around that time. So this had to have been around 97, 98, 99, 2000 when I was working at Cub. I didn't work there a real long time, but I'm working at Cub. All right, so Marvin hears, I memorized my bars. So I'm rapping outside when we pushing the cart to Cub. I'm rapping, and I'm just going on. And I had remembered it. So he's like, hey, he can spit. So he's letting a couple other people hear or whatever. He's like, man, I know a dude with a studio. So he actually tries to go and get me in the studio. I wasn't really taking it serious like that or whatever. I didn't know nothing about it. I just heard studio and I was like, well, damn. So he tries to go get me into the studio. I was supposed to have met this dude so he could put me in the studio. I don't know what it was, because it wasn't like 16 bars and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? You know, when I'm listening to the songs, they going by 16 chorus, 16 chorus. I don't know nothing about no bars. I'm just rapping. And I'm not really talking about too much, but I knew how to put words together and how to do, you know. So I'm just writing. I'm a good writer. I can write stuff. So there was something happened where well, okay. I'm trying to think if I should put this in there or not. I'll tell it later. I'll tell it later. It ain't really incriminating nobody or whatever. Somebody got robbed and they got their chain took, but you know, it wasn't a real chain or whatever like that. So, but I remember that going on. So, okay, so I'm not gonna say who that was and stuff like that. Somebody that knows me, if they ask me offline, like, bro, who was it? I'll just tell them what happened. But so I remember that part at Cub. I remembered it because that was kind of important to the story. Okay, so one thing I'll say this. So now I'm working at Cub, right? I'm gonna try to make this into all one story. So I'm working at Cub. At this time, it's raining bad, or the weather's not that great. And there's this chick just working there. She's the thickest chocolate sister we ever seen in a day in our life. Everybody want to talk to her. She was real quiet though, until she came up with a decent family, whatnot, and she knows niggas is thirsty. So I think her mom must have came up there, was delivering groceries, whatever the case may be. At this time, I'm starting to develop more of my chop up because I'm being around my homies. I'm used to seeing them chopping shit up. So I guess all the dudes that was working there, they couldn't get at her. I start talking to her. And she's real leery, like, okay, man, what is you on? Because she probably felt maybe it was like a contest or whatever like that. I said, I'm going to get her number. I told like the team, the guy we pushed the carts, I said, I'm going to get that number. I said, I'm going to get it. They're like, man, hey, you know. So, and I went and I did. And I told her, and I introduced her to her mother. Her mother was pushing carts. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Like, or pulling the cart, and they were getting ready to load up, because, you know, people would pull up and they would load up. So I introduced myself. I work here, and she had worked there. She was cashier. So I introduced myself, and then I asked her, I said, could I talk to your daughter? And she, you know, she's like, yeah. So then it kind of eased her up a little bit, because she could see I was on her, but she wasn't going for none of them dudes at work, because she just felt like we was just, you know. So she gave me her number, wrote it down. We start talking on the phone. I start getting her to laugh, stuff like that. And she started coming by the house. I think around this time, I can't remember if someone was dropping her off or she'd hop on the 7. She stayed right 34th or 35th down there, you know, by the old White Castle on East Lake. She stayed kind of down there, but a little further. So we start hanging out and stuff like that. And eventually she got her license, and she had this big van, one of them big Astro vans, not the Astro vans, but the big one, the big GMC. She was riding that. And then eventually she had like an apartment. It was her people stuff, but she had like an apartment. So she was still working. Now, I don't know what year as it came on, but as I started to kind of hang out with my homies and stuff, and some of my homies, they used to hustle downtown. And my homie will tell you, one of my guys got a charge down at Shinders. They was hustling downtown. So I would go down there with my CDs with them. So in my mind now, you got to think, I'm selling CDs, but you're around a trapper. You're kind of in a kind of such of a D-boy environment. I'm meeting all these fiends and stuff. And sometimes when I used to go downtown by myself, the fiends used to walk up to me like, hey, let me get 2 for 15, and and they think I'm serving 2. And I'm like, no, I don't, but because they see me with them, you see what I'm saying? So I got my CDs like a backpack, or I have a bag or something like that. And then they got their work. You see? So, but they identify, and see, that's what I'm saying. When you're among that world, people identify you because you're now dealing with street business. You see what I'm saying? So, in my mind, now you got to think, this girl's called, we hang out for a couple times and we have a lot of rapport. And I remember one day she was trying to get me to come by the house. And I think, I'm gonna be honest, I think because we was dealing around with all them fiends, and just like I say, I was kind of in an environment, it was, you just dealing with cutthroat kind of stuff. So I'm thinking she's trying to backdoor me with no charge at all, with no accusation, no proof or whatever. I swear I'm thinking, that she's trying to backdoor me for no apparent reason. But that's what I'm thinking. So she was trying to get me to come by the house. And she said, what threw me off the most was she was like, I'm going to leave the door open or something. And at that time I was kind of smoking. So, we riding around, and my homies, I think he had a Chevy at the time, or Bronco. I don't know if he had a Bronco. He probably, I think he sold the Bronco and then ended up getting a Chevy painted by Paint Man or something like that. I don't remember what year this was. I can't remember. I think he got the Chevy after the Bronco. I can't remember. But when you high, when you high and you're young, you're a little paranoid. Because the places sometimes we used to go and the places we used to be, you're just paranoid. So it's probably not a good idea, to be quite honest, to be, but that's what we did. And I thought that, she's like, well, leave the door open. And I'm like, leave the door open. So I'm making up all this stuff in my mind or whatever. She's kind of like, okay, what's going on? So now she's calling me. Now, at that time, I'm not working a club no more. So when she starts calling me, see, what you up to do? What you up to? I'm hustling. So now she's seeing a transformation. She's not used to this. She's like, okay, he was working at Cub and now he's out in the street a lot. You see what I'm saying? And it wasn't that I was serving, but that's who I was hanging around my guys. It was. You see what I'm saying? And I'd make my little money and stuff like that because I sold CDs. But I'm around an environment that, to me, I'm not doing the same thing as them, but I'm in the same environment, right? So we kind of stopped talking. We didn't talk no more, and I regretted that shit for a minute. Because she was the truth, But that was a phase. Like I say, after my homie caught a charge of Shinders, and they didn't even catch him with anything. But because he was around, there was other D-boys down there. He got caught by default, and he got a charge at Shinders. Because what we used to do is, Shinders ain't around no more. A lot of folks, y'all don't even know what that is. But they used to have a source there. I'm not sure if they had Murder Dog, but they had the source there, and XXL and stuff like. I think they had stuff, stuff. So we would go in and read we buy the magazines too, but we would go in and read the magazines. Now this is a comic book store, so I was a comic fan, but I didn't really look into the comics. So that was a place a lot of hustlers. What they would do is, when they're out and about on Hennepin and they grinding, the police, they see you, they know you ain't buying nothing, and it's late. So what else could you be doing? You're not on the bus. Man, these folks, we will go into Shinders and act like we read magazines. But I guess apparently they caught on to that. I wasn't downtown with him, and I'm glad I wasn't. But he went downtown on a solo and got booked. He got booked because it was some other dudes that got caught. But I don't even think he got caught with anything. But he got caught, but they charged him. Because they associated him with doing what these dudes was doing. But I don't even think they caught him with anything. I'd have to ask him. I don't think they did. I think that it's in the vicinity, which is circumstantial evidence. They shouldn't even been able to use that. But after that, he started hustling out his car. I'll just tell you that. So that was South High, y'all. That was my South High years, in like 11th grade. Now when I went to WOC, I think after school, I wasn't really going downtown like that. I don't think I was. I think I was going downtown with him around, I'm thinking it was 98, 99. Could have been 2000, but I don't, maybe it could have. I'd have to ask him, because I did have my CDs. So I bought the CD burner. It might have been 99. It might have been 99 that I bought that burner. Because Napster came out. Let me see. When did Napster come out? Man, Napster came out June 1st, 99. And then LimeWire came out in 2000. You see what I'm saying? LimeWire came out in 2000. Because that's what we switched over to. Napster was on some, I don't remember what was going on, but they started getting sued and all this stuff. So we could, man, you ever heard of LimeWire? What's that? Oh, it's like Napster. You still download free shit. I said, oh, okay, bet. Bet, okay. So that's how everybody was burning CDs, man. Everybody in nationwide that had Napster was burning CDs, making mixtapes, doing all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was doing that. That's why the RIAA got involved. Everybody was downloading. The whole damn country was downloading. And a lot of artists, it actually made them bigger because of that. Some of them were like, hey, no, don't shut this down. This is making me blow up. I'm gonna have to do I'm still gonna do the Napster / Black Planet MySpace. I gotta do that because, man, that was an era. Because if you had some game, but you just didn't want to leave the crib, this was before all these little goofy little dating apps and stuff, Tinder and all that. Man, our Tinder was Black Planet. And I made money off Black Planet. Plenty. I ain't gotta leave the crib. Oh man. Oh, just email me that. I mean, the Black Planet was lovely. Let me tell you, Black Planet was lovely. I stayed on Black Planet a minute because you could meet people, and then it eventually got watered down. You know what I'm saying? And then you had a cap. So you had a cap on there too. You had a lot of folks capping on there, you know. But me, I just kept it cool. But I got catfish a couple times. Man, I got catfish a few times. But for the most part, yeah, the planet was cool. I ain't gonna lie, the planet was cool. And sometimes I switch up my profile, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? The planet was cool. Niggas was on the planet. But best believe niggas was on the planet. And then MySpace came on. And MySpace became a thing. So I gotta start, man. I'm trying to think on how I'm gonna approach this one. Because, man, MySpace was cool too. MySpace, you know, after a while, MySpace. It's not like I met up on Black Planet. I made money on the planet, bro. Niggas could attest to that. I made some bread on the planet. Actually, like I'll tell you one little tidbit, secret. There was a lady I met on there, and she was managing artists. I won't say if she was, but she was managing artists in Minneapolis, and she was hustling on there too. Hey, let me get a 50 pack in bulk. Go down to Office Max, do my thing. Yeah, for real. That Minneapolis was on top of it. I don't know how it was in other cities. I bet New York had it on smash. I bet Chicago and New York, I bet they was going crazy because we was, and we in little Minneapolis. We in small town Minneapolis, man. I bet they was going insane in them big cities, getting they grind on and do. Man, please, smack DVD. I mean, I bet they was going insane in them places, you know. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and just knock this one out. And I was gonna do another story, but shit, it's time for me to jump on my other channel. You know, I might edit this out. I might not put no music on this. I might just upload it. You know, but just wanted y'all to see, you know, how I came to be, you know, in detail. You know, Windows 98 was the lay of the land. And then when I upgraded to, because I kept Windows 98 for a long time. And I was like, damn, man, my CDs are burning so damn slow. And one of my guys was like, man, why don't you put XP on there? Why don't you upgrade? So I went and bought XP for $100. And man, my efficiency increased tenfold. I mean, you know, at that time, I wasn't really downloading that as much. I still was downloading stuff on mixtapes, but LimeWire had so many damn viruses and stuff. It was just, I was re-imaging my machine like once a month. But I was buying CDs. When the CDs came out Tuesday, I go to Best Buy on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? We go to Sam Goody, we go to Circuit City, primarily Target, every Tuesday. Literally. I go to every Tuesday and I buy everything that's new. All of it. And if you want it early, you go to Digital City over North. I'm telling you, if you really want to get ahead on the curve, that's what we figured out. We hit Digital City, man, on Fridays. Straight up. The CD come out on Tuesday, nigga. I got 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying on Friday, nigga. Yeah, I'm gonna run it up. Yeah. Hell yeah, we used to do that. A lot of people used to do that, man. They be capping like they didn't, but a lot of people used to do that. They go over there, man, and they run it up. 50 Cent, 1.8 million his first week. He ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying? This was a thing. This was a thing. I remember Black Sam used to talk about that stuff all the time. They run it up. Yeah, they run it up, man. When I heard Black Sam's story, I was kind of looking like, damn. They had me about a nigga had 20 dupe machines. Like, damn. So, you know, like, because you got some people, they just wasn't going to go to the store. They want a mixtape. And that's why I like to make mixtapes. Psychodrama best of. Some of the R. Kelly best of. You know, I like making mixtapes. And I wish I would have had a turntable because I would have really, I would have threw some flavor on it. but that wasn't really my thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I'd have to ask Jay, like, man, was this 99 or 2000? Because see, that's why a lot of times I bring on the cars, because I could kind of tell what was going on based on the car I was in. Like if I bought a car, I started driving in my 20s. So if I bought a car like this, then I know maybe this might have happened, and this is what I was going through, or I was talking to so and so around this time or whatever. So the blue Bronco that had to have been like 99 or something, or maybe 2000. You see what I'm saying? And this why I think he might have sold it. Now I'm thinking back. He probably didn't want to pay for the shocks. That suspension wasn't cheap. That's what I'm thinking. He probably didn't want to pay for the shocks or something like that. Because I was like, why would he sell it? Like I just didn't understand, And my buddy, he had a Caprice. And I didn't know why he sold that either. But I remember he was gonna sell it to me for $1,200. Now around that time, $1,200 was kind of a lot. It wasn't a lot, but then it was. And I didn't have the bread. I guess I simply didn't. $1,000 was like $10,000 around that time to me. So I just didn't have it. Otherwise, I would have bought it. It was gonna take me a minute to get that. And he eventually sold it. But if y'all would have seen this car and like the marble gray paint, it was this dude named Paint Man. He was a fiend. He was over Southeast. He used to paint. Let me tell y'all something. If you wanted your car sprayed, man, he'll have your shit so damn wet. He said he'll have your shit looking like the Atlantic Ocean, and you could get this nigga some rocks. I mean, you gotta pay him, but you could give him some rocks. And that's what a lot of these boys used to do. They used to bring their car over Southeast, man, and they used to give this nigga rocks. He was a light-skinned nigga with a missing tooth, with like hazel eyes and stuff. He looked like he was around about 50 because he had gray hair, so I don't know if the crack rock messed him up or whatnot. I think that rock done messed him up. He done messed up his light-skinned privileges. Some of them old niggas, they still try to pull something young. He didn't look young at all. You give him some work, you sitting there thinking like, well, man, this guy's, how could he paint this car high? Man, he got creative, man, with that crack, with that rock. He'll give you a 94 crime bill. He'll give you a 94 crime bill paint job, like. Oh man. Oh gosh. Y'all, anybody knows, man. Y'all know, like, if you was over Southeast, you was over the Southeast projects, man. You know about Paint Man. You know about Paint Man. I wonder if he's alive. Because now we 40. That nigga was about 50. He had to been 50. Maybe but because he was gray, he was old, and then he had the chipped tooth and stuff. He didn't look like a little lanky ass crackhead like that would just be sitting there eating a hot dog. But if you seen him, you wouldn't think that he smokes. And I never knew his real name. They just called him Paint Man. But man, he could paint. And you throw that nigga some rock. I seen it. I seen him with my own. I done seen niggas toss him. Hey, spray my shit, bro. They'll pay him a little bit, but I don't know if he worked on his own practice or I can't remember, man. I'm telling you, that shit was on university. That nigga will spray your shit for some rocks. And he don't look like other than now, if you see his chipped tooth and all that, you'd be like, okay, but he don't look like the average crackhead. He looked like one of them older niggas that is still trying to stay hip, but the rock got him to where he can't really, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times they have like what I call functional smokers. That's what they call them. It'd be functional smokers. So when you look at them, man, this shit's crazy, man. There's so much stuff I want to say that I can't. There's so much stuff, man. There's so many things that I done seen where I was like, okay, well, I won't. But it's just memories coming back left and right or whatever. I was like, man, I wish I would have still had dude's number. Cause he would have sprayed my whole 79 Riviera for $400. He would have sprayed my. I paid 3 racks for my Riviera to get sprayed, man. Like 2,500 or 3 racks. That nigga would have sprayed my shit for $500. That nigga, he probably would have sprayed your shit for fentanyl, man, for less than that. Oh shit! I don't want to promote drugs. I'm just saying he would have, man. All right, I'm about to go, man. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. They would have sprayed this nigga shit, man. This nigga would have gave you a fentanyl. He would have gave you a fentanyl marble top spray. Oh, jeez. I hope Paint Man's still alive and doing well, man. I gotta ask my guy, like, what year was that, man? Because I've been there multiple times, and you got to check on him. Cause he might get high and get laying down. You know, them crackhead niggas, man, they get to laying down. They start bullshitting. You got to check on them. Hey, man, what's up with my car? Yeah, you got to check on them because, man, I'm telling you. They get high, man. They might leave your car, man. It be 2 weeks behind. Nah, man, it don't take that long to spray no car. So you can't get him everything up front, man. You got to get him a little bit. I'm telling you, I done seen this stuff. It's crazy. It's like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I don't want no, and it's spotless. But I think he messed up one time. Yeah, hold on, he did. I gotta ask Jay about that. He messed up one time and he had to bring it back. But when he brought it back, it was better than when he first had it. Man, it looked like clouds and marble. It was crazy. That paint job was nuts. I don't know why the hell he sold that damn old school. Jeez. That paint job was crazy. And here's the thing. Before it was cool to have TVs in your shit, he had threw a TV in there. You see what I'm saying? So maybe it was the motor or it was something. Because you know them Caprice Classics, sometimes they did have issues and niggas just didn't want to fix them. They were like, man, I'm just going to sell this shit. So, yeah. But yeah, y'all, that was 99, 2000, man. That was 99, 2000, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to think of any other things that was going on. But there was like a little car wash over Southeast. It was a couple blocks from the car wash. And, yeah. So, yeah, man, that was my life, man. In them little couple years, 10th, 11th grade, whatnot, man. You know, pivotal moment, very, very pivotal moment. I was ready for the world at that time. And that's, like I say, that's when I really started. When I built that computer in Mr. Ruff class, that was it. That was all she wrote. You know, I was at that point, that changed my damn life when I built that computer. Because I was able to kind of change. I was able to chase my own destiny. I didn't have to wait. I never waited for another person to, I need an opportunity and, you know, look out for me, put me on, man. I put myself on completely. I put myself on. I found out a way to make a few bucks. I just wish I would have learned how to formulate that. You know what I'm saying? And really just, I wish I would have formulated it early on. I really didn't understand what money meant until I got into my mid-20s. I'm talking about like the science of money. And even then I was having trouble trying to figure out how it actually works. How to really make your money work for you. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. So shout out. I hope Paint Man's alive and doing well. Hey, if y'all hear about that nigga being alive and he's still painting, hey, let me know. Let me know. Because we ain't gonna promote no drugs, but man, we'll pay him, man. We'll definitely pay him. So, All right, y'all. I'm about to upload this, man. I might not even add no music. I'll just put it up and this is gonna be the Storytime South High.